If you like what you see here, please check out my other two channels. If you like gaming, check out my main channel, Spaceship Productions. And if you like sports, check out my sports channel, Space Does Sports. Thank you and enjoy the video. I thought I was done with Strawhorse. Not in the means of quit listening to them. They're one of my favorite bands, despite only having one album plus a few demos released. But in the sense of, this is all the information that we're ever going to know about Strawhorse. That wasn't until today when I meandered my way onto eBay and try and find some CDs of bands, of like obscure bands I liked. One of them being Strawhorse. And believe it or not, I found this eBay listing right here. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. I'm glad to see that CDs do exist. Obviously, I knew CDs of it existed because there's archives of it on Discogs. And I knew they'd probably be expensive because of how rare they are. But I would pay $100 less. I'm not paying $200 for CD. It's fine though. But this is where the real craziness came in. Because when I went to the back of the CD, I noticed, I was like admiring the details, because this might be the last time I ever see this because of how rare these are. I noticed something at the bottom, at least I think it was the bottom off the top of my mind, www.strawhorse.com. This small revelation just opened up a whole bunch of new info we never knew about Strawhorse. So I went to the URL thinking, oh yeah, this is not going to be a website no more. It is a website, not for the band though. Not bands. That website's long gone. It's an open domain now. But thanks to my friend, the Wayback Machine, I was able to go back to the 2001, 2000, 2001, 2002, and there's a whole lot of archives from that website on the Wayback Machine. So this is where we get started. When you would enter the Strawhorse website, you would be greeted by official Strawhorse website, as you can see on screen right now, along with a lot of other things. Enter Flash site. Man, can't believe it's been like 5-6 years since they got rid of Flash. It may have been a bit less than that, but still, it's been a long time since they got rid of Flash. Shows you how old this is. Mentioned something about Flash 4. I'm too young to know about that. But yeah, it mentions that, but then it also mentions the set schedule, which is, we're gonna get into that later if we can. It also mentions buy CDs and merch or something along the lines of that. And then it also mentions this, which is Atlanta was voted best song on ATV Off-Roading Fury or something like that for the PS2, which is something really cool. So let's deep dive into this a bit more. One of the things that I noticed right away on the website was the theme of race cars. You also notice this on the back of the CD. I'm big into motorsports, but I'm not too familiar with this kind of motorsport. I know it exists. I've seen it on TV before. I've watched it. I just don't know the name because I'm not big into it. I'm more of a NASCAR World of Outlaws guy. Anyways, enough on that. That is a big theme of Strawhorse, I noticed. I don't know if that was something they wanted to theme either their first EP/album off of. We'll get into more of that later. Or if that's just they wanted that to be the theme of the band. I don't know. It's just something a bit interesting. The next thing we have to deep dive into is the merchandise. At least I do believe what that says off the top of my head. This section shows where you can buy Brilliantine, the CD, presumably the same one that's in the eBay listing. You can also buy shirts. There's all different sizes. They're $12 and the CD is $5. Not much here besides this website. I don't know what it's called. I'm just going to put it right here because I forget what it's called off the top of my head, because I have no script, because I have nowhere to put a script. So this is why this one's kind of botched per se, but I'm doing my best. The next thing archived on this website that I can go to from this date is Strawhorse's schedule, which compiled of 3 dates. These don't really matter, but they're cool. One is New York, the other 3 I can't recall. It's on screen right now. But the big thing for this is we have one image of their bass player or guitar player playing. I can't tell. I'm not good at guitars. My friend is, but not me. But the big thing is that this is one of the very few good images that we have of one of their members playing. As right now, the only footage we have, at least to the public, is of like a couple concerts that was that was saved and re-uploaded to YouTube by one of their former drummers, Jose. And besides that, that's all we have, and they're really low quality, so you really can't make out the members. This image right here is big, as it's a really clear-cut day image of them playing, which is really cool and really big for this like exploration, trying to find as much info about Strawhorse as we can. The last 2 sections of this website from this archive date has not been archived by the Wayback Machine. On this next archive date, a couple things that changed. 1, Strawhorse logo instead of race cars. And 2, there's new photos, which we're going to look at in a second. There's really not much to say about these images. I'm just going to let them play on screen as I talk. But it's just really cool to have images of such an obscure band like Strawhorse, especially one from a obscure band from the early 2000s, because that's when the internet was just getting started, when it was harder to archive stuff. So I'm going to put all the credits needed, because I don't know if I need to credit these. I don't know if I don't. But yeah, there's really not much to say. It's just really cool to have such clear images. A lot of them couldn't load. Let me know in the comments, like, if you go to this website, archive, the Internet Archive, or whatever it's called, the Wayback Machine, let me know if you guys can get these other images to load. I could only get these ones to load, but still all together really cool. When you enter the link at the top of the website, it'll take you to this, which is pretty much an advertisement for ATV Off-Road Fury, which Strawhorse has 2 songs that features in this PS2 game. On this date, May 25th, 2002, there's just a slight change to the official Strawhorse website. Nothing big, they just kind of moved a couple things around, as you can see on the side right now. On this next date of the website, there's a big change where they announce a few show dates, which I'm showing off to the side. And one of these dates they play with a few other bands. Not many big bands, but then they play with Seven Dust, which is a pretty big band compared to Strawhorse, which is really cool. And they play with another band, I'm not going to, God's Little Joke, which was a band that one of their drummer Steve Kilroy played in, which is really cool. On this next date of the website, there's a big change where they announce a few show dates, which I'm showing off to the side. And one of these dates they play with a few other bands. Not many big bands, but then they play with Seven Dust, which is a pretty big band compared to Strawhorse, which is really cool. And they play with another band, I'm not going to, God's Little Joke, which was a band that one of their drummer Steve Kilroy played in, which is really cool. On this next date, the website just went back to normal, as you can see. On this final date is where we will conclude this video. At least we're going through the Internet Archives, as it's now looking like this, which is either one of 2 things. Strawhorse disbanded, which I know they disbanded around this time, and that's the end of that, or that they created this new band, which why it has this new new domain, which I'm going to say it's the second one, but I can't prove or disprove anything. That's why I'm just going to end it here and not further pursue anything else. Now, here's what we're going to take away from this. One, that both of the two Strawhorse logos that are floating around, these two, are both official logos that started with the one on this side and then ended with this one. And then somewhere between 2003 and 2004, they disbanded, either created a new band or one of the members didn't use that domain, or they just broke up and never used that domain, and that's just a new band. But we'll end it here, and thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, this was probably one of the craziest videos to make. And yeah, it was pretty fun to make though. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Just as I said that, I came up with an excellent conclusion. The reason why they use this domain is because one of the members from Strawhorse, Jose Morales, is in the split band right here, as you can see. So this time, so that's why that domain's the same. This time, I will see you guys in the next one.